What's going on, family? Welcome to the channel. I'm Harlan D. White. In today's video, I am going to talk about some changes that I've made to how I manage my personal finances from 2021 heading into 2022, mainly focusing on the areas of budgeting and how I manage the various different accounts that I am tracking. If you're new to my channel, I talk about a number of different personal finance topics that I'm actually working on myself. It all started back midway through 2020 when I wanted to pay down about $50,000 in debt. And so from there, I learned a lot about budgeting, how to pay down debt, how to start investing, et cetera, et cetera. So, with that, let's go ahead and jump into some changes that I made to my budget. You just got to get started. All right, so here is my budget and how I ended 2021 in December and the overall setup. So, if you're unfamiliar, this tool that I utilize to budget, track my spending, as well as look at some different reports on my spending, this is called YNAB or You Need a Budget, and it's my favorite budgeting tool that I utilize. Now, primarily the areas that I just want to focus in on this video is just, moving from 2021 moving from 2020 to 2021, I changed how I set up my budget, and now moving from 2021 into 2022, I've changed it a little bit more. I won't go into as much detail on how I have my budgets arranged for 2021, but in general, I did look to reduce and consolidate my budget moving into 2022, and I will go into that a little bit more detail when we get to 2022. Another change that I made is that in 2021, I pretty much tracked all of my accounts within YNAB, and I decided to not do that going into 2022, and I will explain that here shortly. Just looking at the reports, one of the things I did track in YNAB last year was my net worth. However, I'm going to use another tool called Kubera to track my net worth in 2022. But just looking back at the progress that I made from December 2020 to December 2021, I did have a change in net worth of over $56,000. So that was something that I was extremely proud of myself for. And each month I was able to reduce my debt last year. All right. So before I jump over to my new budget, let me show you how I am going to start tracking my net worth on a go forward basis, at least in 2022. And this tool is called Kubera. So what I've done is I've linked a number of my accounts. So I have it arranged as my checking accounts, my retirement accounts, my HSA accounts, my savings account, my Bitcoin accounts, and then some other accounts. Right. And so basically, most of these are automatically updated. When it comes to my Bitcoin accounts, I don't attach my I don't attach my wallets to this tool, even though you could do that. However, I do input how much Bitcoin I have, and it automatically calculates it. So as you can see up here, this is my net worth, and this is how I will be tracking my net worth going forward. So it's split up into assets as well as my debts. So I have my credit card debt, my loan. This is my only outstanding loan, which is a 401k loan of $3,328. And as you'll see, I actually have $3,028 sitting in savings that I'm earning 9% interest on at this moment instead of paying off this debt. And then also, if I go over here to my net worth, this kind of breaks down all the different categories of what I'm tracking. So instead of tracking everything in YNAB like I did last year, I will be utilizing this Kubera tool here in 2022 and see how that works out for me. Now, let's go ahead and jump over to my current budget. And what I will walk through is how I have it set up. We'll skip this initial category. This is something that YNAB uses to help manage your credit card payments. However, let's just go through the categories. So I have a giving category where I have my tithe and generosity. If you were following my channel last year, one of my goals was to give at least 10% to charity. So I started in January giving 1%, February giving 2%, all the way up to October where I started giving 10%. And then coming into this year, I wanted to continue that trend and actually increase my giving. No specific goals around it, except that I want to give at least 10% throughout the year of my gross income. And so, specifically, I split it out between ties. So, right now, as soon as I get my check, I immediately take 10% of my gross income and put it towards giving. And then I also am setting aside another 1% to start giving to other things as they come up. And so that is my giving category. I am excited about giving more this year than I did last year. Next is my investments category. So I've split out my business account. So in last year's budget category, I had my business account in the same budget. I've created a new budget just for my business expenses and I'm managing everything there. However, I do track how much I am taking from my personal check from my day job and how much I'm putting towards my business. And so that'll be tracked under my investments. And I do intend to make this a priority for 2022. Next, I track how much Bitcoin that I am purchasing, as well as how many stocks or how much I'm putting towards stocks. Next is my savings category. Now, I have it split out so that I can see how much I have available to me in these savings categories. So the first one is cash back. I'm a big fan of utilizing my credit cards to get my cash back awards. However, I am really tedious on paying off my credit card. So literally, soon as the charge clears, most times I pay it. So I'm definitely making payments every week to on my credit cards as of today. And so I do get cash back and I do track how much I get in cash back. And most months I just use it towards other categories for the following month. So I do see it as free money. I track any credits that I have. So I have right now a gift card for Amazon, for example, that's worth $25. So I just track that I do have that available. Account buffer. This is where my checking accounts, I just want to keep an extra $100 between two accounts, just in case some unexpected expense hits that account. At this point, I really don't. I really needed this back before I started this debt free journey. However, I still want to keep that discipline in there. This is my account buffer. I have an emergency fund. This is an area that I do want to build up. Right now, it's about $1,300 in there, and each paycheck I am building and growing that. And then this is my HSA account. So my HSA, the way that I have it split up is that a portion of it is in cash that goes to paying medical expenses, and then I invest the rest. So last year and this year, there's been a lot of different medical expenses coming out. So it's a bit down, but every paycheck, it will replenish this HSA amount. And then anything over $1,300, then it'll start going back into my investment accounts. So overall, this is the different savings accounts that I have split out. And I like YNAB because I can easily see how much I have and how much is allocated to each category. Next, this is my sinking funds. This is categories that I know that I have upcoming expenses in, and I just want to set money aside each paycheck to put towards it. Might not put towards it every paycheck. The first one is my 401k loan. Now, this is the last loan that I do have to pay off. And as you can see right now, I have $3,329 already sitting aside for my 401k loan. And essentially, each check that I get, this is going to go down by I believe it's just a little around $50 or so. And this number is going to go down. And I'm going to move this $3,329, the $50 that it goes down each paycheck, I'm going to move up to my emergency fund. And so basically, the way I'm doing this is that I'm keeping it on hand. I'm earning interest on that money. And then as my debt amount reduces because I make payments each paycheck, I move the money that I have in this particular 401k loan account over to my emergency fund. The next category is moving expenses and then travel. So that's my seeking funds. And again, these are just things that I'll probably add to it as other ideas come up to mind. But this is just a way for me to track some areas that I specifically want to focus in on saving for. Next, I have my bills. So I changed this time around, and basically any bill that I know is going to come out on a specific date, then I have it all listed here and with the dates, et cetera, et cetera. And this definitely helps me budget because when I get a paycheck, I look to see what things need to be paid before my next paycheck. And so this helps me list out all of my different bills. Next is my home category. So I do have a certain amount that I give specifically towards my family off top. I have eating, groceries, supplements, household, and then pets. Last year, as an example of a change that I did make, was that I had food split out separately from my home expenses. This time I decided to lump them all up together. So it's all a personal preference. Next is my personal category, and here is I kept it simple. I don't buy a whole lot for myself, but recreation, personal care, clothing, and then other. So again, like I said, I don't buy a whole lot of different stuff at this point, but um, that's my personal category. Next is transportation. So kept it simple again, gas, maintenance, repairs. So, one of the things I know I haven't done in a while is get new brakes. I'm sure that's coming up. So I'm starting to set money aside each paycheck to prepare for the breaks that are inevitable. Other ones is ride sharing, tolls, parking, especially if I know something is coming up, I'll start putting money aside for that category as well. Services is the next one, and this is just where I track all of the medical, dental, vision expenses that are coming out. Mostly, this is going to be covered by my HSA funds up here, but I still have categories for it so that I can track how much is going towards each of these categories. And then the last one is annual expenses. These are the two that I remembered today. And so, well, I took some out today because some of them are going to my business account, and then so basically the other ones that I know are annual expenses are moving over to my business account. And as a result, I don't have them listed here. So these are the only two that I can remember that are related to my personal account. All right, so those are my updated budget categories and how I have it set up personally. It's all going to be personal how you like to budget, but I definitely encourage people to play around with it and figure out what works for you. And then the last part I'll touch on here is, again, I have all of my accounts that I spend from are going to be here. And last year, I also included accounts that I did not spend from, like my investment accounts and all that stuff. And like I said, I've moved that over to Kubera. So basically, I can go to Kubera to see my total picture of net worth, whereas in YNAB, I keep it strictly focused on my budget and how much I'm actually spending. So as an example, I can still go into my reports and I can still track to see like my average spending per month, what things that I spent on, et cetera, et cetera. So YNAB specifically, I'll use for budgeting, tracking my spending, and some reports so I can go back and look to see what I spent money on. And then Kubera, that's the tool that I'll use for tracking my overall net worth. So definitely hope that you all got something from this video that you can apply to your own budget or how you manage your own personal finances. As always, if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them below. At this point, I'm still getting back to everyone that comments below. And yeah, until next time. You just got to get started.